Hello everyone, this is Michelle with Michelle's Scrapbooking Thoughts, and I'm bringing you back today, as promised, the tutorial of the 3D tag that I showcased with a walkthrough on yesterday. So, let me go ahead and get started. You're going to need some paper, some cardstock, some ribbon, some scissors, some adhesive, and a scoring tool. And the paper collection we're going to be using today is the Hello Christmas by Carta. I think it's absolutely adorable. It was in my stash from yesterday. You may be seeing a lot of papers that you haven't ever seen before, because if you've been following me for a short time, I've just started my YouTube channel, and a couple of times I know of, I have said that I'm really trying to not buy anything new and to really focus on what's in my stash. So I really want to focus on using that up so that I can buy more and not feel guilty about it. So far, it's been 2 weeks and I have not bought anything new. So I'm super excited and proud of myself. So this is the paper. You're going to need one of the Etc. Tim Holtz tags. These are 5.5 by 10. 3 in a pack, and you'll also get the reinforcer that goes here. You're going to need 2 pieces of designer paper, one for the front, one for the back, and these are both 5.5 by 10. Now I chose to ink my pages. I think it really gives them a distressed look. It really makes them look vintagey. It doesn't make the white areas or the vanilla areas so stark. So I am going to be using the Tim Holtz Distress ink. This is Vintage Photo. And I just usually just ink it up, and then I just go around the edges. You're just giving it a little bit of color. Don't worry about writing anything down. I'll have the cutting guide below in the description bar of the video. And I still have not come up with a good name. Yes, I did put a title. I will have a title in the video because I have to have something for to upload it. But I'm going to put in the comments. I'm going to ask you guys, I'm at a loss kind of for what to name this. So if you put in the comments below a title that you're recommending and I choose it, then I will send you some prize patrol. And it will be paper crafting related, something that you can use in a project. Alright, just inking these up on the side. We're going to put this aside for a second, and then we're going to come in and we're going to just glue these down. And you're probably thinking, you didn't cut, but I'm going to show you how I do it, how it's easier for me. So I am going to adhere this down. You can use whatever adhesive. I'm a glue girl. I had all of my glues facing down, trying to get the last bit out of them before I open a new one. It's really important. You want to get your edges as close to the edge as possible. Alright. I'll just set this down. I want to make sure it's even. And the Carta paper is really, really thick, so you really want to make sure that you burnish it down. You want to spread that glue out and make sure it's covered. Alright. I shouldn't have put glue here, but I did. Now I'm just going to come in with my scissors and snip it off. You're also going to want to come in with a pencil and draw you a circle right there in your tag. Now, before you put on the back side, you want to come in with an X-Acto knife or some type of other tool that you can cut this circle out with. So I just follow that line that I traced. And then it just pops out. You don't have to worry if it's perfect because you're going to cover it up with the reinforcer. So the reinforcer will go here. You just have to make sure that it's big enough. So just going to go through and get some of this excess off. And like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect because even after you put your reinforcer on, you're like, well, that's still a little crooked, but your ribbon's going to cover most of that up. Okay, so now we can put the back on. And we'll be tracing it again. Not able to. You ever had those days where you're just not able to hold on to anything? I'm having one of those days. You just want to get all these air bubbles out. You want to make sure the glue is spread evenly, because we don't want any lifting. All right. Just going to snip the sides. Come in with our pencil. And cut out our hole. There we go. Ta-da! Okay, the next thing we want to do is I come in and I ink up the edges and make it really, really dark. This is definitely something that's optional. And then I want my tag to be just, my little reinforcer to be distressed. So I come in and I ink it up really well. Go ahead and get the top. I don't worry about the bottom because it's not going to really be seen. But I go ahead and do it anyway because the OCD says what you must do to the front, you must do to the back. It's like it has to be balanced. Anybody else like that? Okay. You can see that looks much better to have it distressed. Okie dokie. Now this is where we'll come in with, let's see, you'll need a piece of cardstock that is 4 1/8 by 8. And that's going to be the foundation to hold our waterfall. So what I'm going to do, because I forgot to cut that ahead of time, so I need to get that cut. Let's see. I'm going to use some red. I could have sworn I had that cut already. Right. 4 1/8 by 8. So this is where you're going to decide, do you want to leave all of your corners, including your waterfall pages, do you want to leave them square, or do you want to come in and round them? Do you want to use another type of punch? This is where you're going to do that. So I've decided to use the Memory Keepers. We Are Memory Keepers, the Crocodile Corner Chomper, and I'm going to be using the stub. This one has deco and stub, and I'm going to use stub. Looks like a... Now I'm only going to do the bottom of the base because it's just going to go here. Our waterfall sits on top, so I only need to do the bottom. Now, to begin your waterfall, you're going to need 6 pieces that are 4 1/8 by 5 1/2. 4 1/8 by 5 1/2. And you're going to score them on the 5 1/2 inch side at 1/2 inch. So we're just going to score these. This is also where you decide where you're going to leave them, you know, just pointy at the ends, or are we going to decorate them? And I am going to decorate them with the same side, the stub. Alright, now for the sake of the video, I am going to use score tape to adhere these down with. It just will save some time. So you won't have to sit here and watch for so long. Oh, you guys, I'm doing a walkthrough tomorrow of something I made yesterday. Oh my goodness, I gotta get a new one. Something I finished yesterday, and oh my goodness, you know, I paper craft all the time. I love to paper craft, but this one that I finished yesterday, by far, I cannot tell you the last time I thoroughly enjoyed every single minute of designing it and creating it. I think it's just going to be one of those wow projects. At least that's what I'm hoping for. It was a wow for me. And it's another item that's new that I'm going to put in a craft fair in October. And I'm going to see how it does. So this one and the one I'm going to show you tomorrow are going to be new items in my craft fair. So I'll let you guys know how they did. I'm really thinking they're going to go over really well. Now, I'll give you a little tip on score tape. It's very important, if you want the backing to come off well, you want to burnish it down. You want to make sure that all that glue is adhered well, and then the strip comes off a lot easier. So, just going to peel this off. And then we're just going to glue this down center best we can. The only thing bad about using score tape is if you mess up, you can't really pull it up. I am going to be using liquid glue on this though. I'm trying to think what side I like better, and I'm just going to adhere it with some wet glue. on. The next thing we're going to do before we adhere them down is I'm going to add my designer paper. And for these, you're going to need 6 that are 4 1/8. No, 4 by... The designer paper is 4 by 4 7/8. Okay. And I am going to ink these as well. But don't worry about writing all this down. I will have a cutting guide as well as all the supplies that I use. And I am going to stub the bottoms. I love the decorative look it gives at the bottom. Oops, I'm getting these out of order. I already had these in order of how I wanted them, so I need to flip this over. Like I said, I'm just wanting to distress just the ends just a little bit. It's not like I really want full coverage, just enough to take some of the starkness out of the white. Alright. This paper is so cute. I must say, I buy a lot of Christmas paper and fall paper. I love Christmas. Christmas has always been my favorite holiday. And most people say it's just because of gifts, but it's not. It's because I just love the decorating and I love the wrapping. I love to watch people open their stuff. This one got out of order. Alright, one more. Alright. So now we can start gluing these on and then adhering them. And it doesn't take up a lot of paper, so if you have a lot of paper that you have just scraps left of, this, projects like this are perfect. So I'm not covering up that score line. I'm just going right below it because we need a border at the top as well as on the sides. And this is the mechanism of how they flip. So try not to go over that score line. Thought about using score tape, and I'm glad I didn't because I'm not good at getting things right the first time with score tape. I have a better chance with liquid glue. I'm not good at cutting straight lines either. I have to use my trimmer. It's a little bit early to work on Christmas stuff, but when you're in craft fairs, you have to start early. I try to do them October, November, and December. So. All right, one more. Running out of glue too. Alright, now we're about ready to start building our waterfall. Bring this back in. We're going to take the score tape off. What we're going to do is we're going to fold this 1/2 inch score line down, and we're going to just put it right below that bottom strip. And then we're going to give it a good adhere. Now, on the other one, I also put paper on the insides. That would be too long of a video, but I wanted just to show you that you can also put it on the back. That leaves more photos that you can put in, or say you wanted to put a photo on the front and journal on the back. So there's another option too. But for the sake of the video, I'm just going to do the front flaps so you'll know. Now this one, we're just going to butt up next to the very bottom of this 1/2 inch tab. And adhere down. Now on the other one, I did a ribbon closure, and that would have gone down before we started putting the waterfalls on. But I think I'm going to do a ribbon closure with this one. Not a ribbon closure, a magnet closure. I always like to try to have an option of something. That way if somebody, you know, prefers one way over the other, then I have one of each to sell them. Or if you're making these, then you can do the option that you like. So we're just adhering these down. And you'll notice you'll want to check too on the front to make sure that they're not off and they're all going in line. This one ran out of tape toward the end. Ah, my scissors have glue all over them. Okay, our last one. So you have 6 of these and your waterfall would end, but also you have this space down here. I went ahead on this one and also covered this space just using a decorative piece, but you could also use this as a photo opportunity mat as well. So that's something that you could do there with yours. Now, another thing I wanted to point out is in between the pages, you could either leave them blank like this, or you could add strips in between, which I tend to do because I think it makes the page just flow. But definitely a personal choice. So if you want to add these strips in between, they need to be 3/8 of an inch by 4. And so you would just add them right here. And I just keep, I just keep alternating them depending on what the pattern is. So you would just continue with your 3/8 of an inch strips by 4. Whoops. Surely didn't get enough glue there, did I? Okay. So once you have your waterfall, you've got your mechanism to close it. You're going to add ribbon at the top. I've got some. Now this one, I had multiple that matched. So I used some light blue and some light pink with some darker light burgundy. And it really matched everything well. Right now I just have the red, but I do want to get some green and eventually add it to the tag. So the more, I think the more ribbon you have to add to it, the better it looks. It gives just a better tail as opposed to just having one tag. But essentially you could just do one if you wanted to. And then for the front, after I would make the magnet closure, I would bring in the sticker set that matches. And what I like to do with my stickers is adhere them down to either designer paper or cardstock, and then I fussy cut around them, and then I use like a foam dot, a dimensional, something with, to add some dimension so they lift up, they pop up. So I would take one from the sticker pack, and I would adhere it to cardstock, and then I would fussy cut around it depending on what I was putting on the front, and adhere it on with a dimensional. And what I mean by a dimensional is they're just little like foam squares. They're sticky on the back, sticky on the front once you peel it off, and it just gives your image just a little bit of dimension so everything is not just adhered flat. So I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Again, if you can think of a name that would be good for this, leave it in the comments below, and I'll go through, and whoever I choose, I will give some prize patrol. So I'll see you back here tomorrow for a walkthrough of a new fall project. Thanks so much for joining me today.